On Tuesday, I spotted him creeping like a lizard along the castle wall. When I asked him where he was going, he turned towards me hissing, his eyes ablaze with revulsion. I understood this to mean that he was going to the shop, so I asked him to pick up some butter in bin bags. Late that night he returned drenched in blood and sat staring despondently into the fire. I asked what was wrong, and in typical fashion he let loose a long stream of raspy snarls. When translated to English, I believe this meant,
I have just feasted on the blood of an entire family of gypsies. They were nice people. My thirst is now turned to guilt.
Foolishly, I made the Count a nice hot cup of cocoa, which he hurled in my face, and then went cartwheeling dramatically out the door. While tending to my scalded forehead, I decided that from now on I'll call Dracula Dermot instead. I hope he doesn't mind me calling him that now. October 25th. To ease the crushing boredom, I offered to paint the castle a nice cheerful colour, but Count Dermot just slashed at me with his claws, ruining my jumper. Late that night 3 banshee figures entered my room, gazing at me lustfully. I'm Josie Harrington, I said, nice to meet you. Within seconds my arms and legs were bound by their long pure white flowing hair, which coiled around me like a nest of serpents. The experience was quite enjoyable, up until the point when they started to guzzle my blood and drink me to death. Frantically, I removed one of my filthy socks and managed to repel them momentarily. Suddenly, Dermot exploded into the room and furiously beat the 3 banshees out with a mop. Feeling frightened and homesick, I remained in my cell for the rest of the day. To cheer myself up, I stood by my window peering out over the dreary Transylvanian landscape and began to sing an old Irish song.
A wee bit over the lily lads, a wee bit over the green. The bars went into the poor man's heart. I fear they'll never be seen, me lads. I fear they'll never be seen.
Just before the second verse, Count Dermot sprang in my window and began baiting me unmercifully with the same mop used earlier. He must have really detested my song, because he chased me around the castle, hastily demented me for what felt like hours upon hours. October 26th. I spent all day painting an illustration of a buffalo frolicking blissfully by the side of a lagoon. How I wish to be free like the buffalo, free to frolic and roam where I wish. A dapper-looking door-to-door coffin salesman visited the castle after dinner and haggled with Count Dermot for hours. As the salesman left that evening, I approached him in the hall and proudly showed him my painting of the buffalo. For a few moments he stood pondering it, then looked at me in utter disgust and said,
No, this isn't right, this is nothing, this is shit. Where's the impact? It's just a goddamn buffalo. The worst thing that can happen to a painter is happening to you. You're becoming simply a technician. There's nothing there. There's no feeling, there's no drama, there's no passion. It's a mockery. It's a work of pure, unadulterated ego. It is absolutely worthless. Worthless. I can't stomach this a moment longer. Who would have thought it would come to this?
Mightily dejected by his scathing criticism, I ran to my bedroom and fell into a deep sulk. December 18th. It is now the depths of winter, and a ferocious frost covers the entire land. I woke to find my tongue frozen solid in my head, and spent many hours thawing it out in a bowl of oxtail soup. Of late, Dermot has developed a very irritating habit of treating me like a cheap, lousy beverage. When I least expect it, he pounces and gorges on my blood, which is down to its last few litres. Earlier I was busy washing the delf when he dived out of a grandfather clock and sucked greedily on my ankle. The laugh will be on him when I soon drop dead. To add to my woes, I am also running very low on ink, as well as starving and freezing to death. December 19th. Much to my amazement, a very healthy, plump-looking pheasant appeared like an angel on my windowsill just after midday. Seeing this as a heaven-sent opportunity to escape, I climbed upon the bird's back and shoved it out the window. Our triumphant flight to freedom was grossly short-lived. After a long 5-story drop, the pheasant and I smashed into the solid black ice. Both my shins snapped like air aboard, and the bird suffered a ruptured spleen. The last thing I can recall before falling unconscious is being carried between the jaws of a huge wolf as it bounded through the forest. December 20th. I awoke to find myself lying on a cold concrete floor wearing a straitjacket. An abnormally tall, thin man, clad all in black, stood over me. "I have been expecting you for many months, Mr. Harrington," he said. Wind howled all around us because the roof of this strange building was in a chronic state of disrepair. "You have proved yourself to be an incompetent businessman," he continued. "Firstly by losing my order of galvanise, and then by mistaking me for my highly deranged, hunchbacked neighbour, Dmitri Frugalman. At least I can take some pleasure in ending your pitiful existence." And with that, the man drove his fangs deep into my jugular and gulped down the last few litres of my blood. His breath smelt of marmalade.
The end. Es war einmal ein Schneiderlein, der lebte einst in Ulm. Er wollte sich, man glaubt es kaum, seinen größten Traum erfüllen. Er wollte fliegen, er wollte einfach fliegen. Und jeder, der den Schneider hört,